So Marjane, thank you very much for being with us today. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for me too.
How have you been these days of lockdown, of quarantine? Have you spent these days in a quiet mood, like easy mood?
Well, for me, quarantine was horrible. It was horrible for many reasons. First of all, I grew up under a dictatorship. So, we had all this control of the police and this and that I really lived very, very bad. I didn't like it at all. And then, this whole thing of people saying, oh, they're so creative and this and that. I was not creative one bit, not 1 second. Because, Paris is very beautiful, but Paris without people has no emotion. I cannot watch at walls and get an emotion and want to tell something. So it has been horrible. I was very, very depressed for 2.5 months, extremely depressed. And now that is opening up, my whole life is coming back. So I don't like the quarantine at all. And I also hated people that are like, oh, we have more time with our family. So, well, I don't know, decide to have more time with your family without the quarantine. I mean, do you really need to be pushed to have more time with your family?
They don't have to force you, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. So how does it feel promoting a film like this? Because I'm of course we met 10 years ago in Toronto for a film, and you're very happy and with the contact. How are you dealing with this online promotion?
I hate it, but it's like that. Okay. I would have 10 times wished that I was in Barcelona and I would sit in front of you and I could see you, because then it's an interaction. I really don't like that, but there is the way it is now. It will be over.
Yeah, it will be over. Yeah. We will get our life back for sure. Let's talk about Madame Curie. Why do you think this character, which is so powerful and so meaningful for our culture, I mean our European culture, I would say, and international, of course, why do you think it hasn't been addressed in many films by now? Because it's somehow hidden for decades, right?
Of course. I mean, I think the best that has been done, it's a film of 1943. That was a very good film. And it won many prizes, etc. But, Marie Curie, I think is an international figure, even she's European. Anywhere you go in the world, you go China, Iran, anywhere, people, at least they have heard about her. She's not unknown. And yet nobody knows exactly who she was. So like in England, she's associated to breast cancer. I don't know why, but and then somewhere else is something else. So, but I think she's also one of the very rare female scientists that actually we talk about, because it has been lots of female scientists, but we just don't talk about them. But somehow she has remained. But the thing was that I grew up with the myth of Madame Curie. My mom really wanted me to become a independent woman. So, one of the figures that I had to follow, I mean, that was two of them. That was Simone de Beauvoir and Madame Curie. So to tell you, it was quite a high thing.
Yeah,
so
high stakes,
I did not become a philosopher. I did not become a scientist. But at the same time, I have to say, I became an independent woman. Sure thing, I did become that. So I've always lived with her myth. But I think her story is very interesting also because her life, her love story, her discovery, her death, all is one and the same story. It's never like that in anyone. Like you take, for example, I don't know, Stephen Hawking's, his love story, his sickness, his science is three different matter. In her case, all is one story. So I think it's something complete about her. But then I had, this magnificent script of Jack Thorne that actually, the title of it was Radioactive, and it was not Marie Curie, the great woman. And I love the idea of, mixing her life with the aftermath of her life. I thought it was highly exciting, and to really do talk about science. So, yeah.
So that's your approach, right? Addressing a life and its consequences, because it had many, right?
Of course. Of course it had many, because, at the time that they discovered radioactivity, just to talk about the good side, is that from the ancient Greek until the beginning of the 20th century, everybody was aware that this disease, cancer, exists, but nobody knew how to cure it. And actually, the discovery of radioactivity was also the discovery of the cure of the cancer. I mean, even today, we are curing cancer with radioactive elements, with artificial radioactivity. And in France, it's called Curie therapy. So, this is still what we are using. And at the same time, we cannot talk about the discovery of radioactivity and not to talk about the atom bomb and not to talk about Chernobyl. So, and it is very important because, because I read the speech of Pierre Curie in 1904 in Stockholm, and word by word, it is what is said in the film. It's nothing that I have invented. He's aware that, this has so much power that it can be very, very dangerous, but still he wants to believe in the human being. And I think all the scientists, in one way or the other, they're humanists. So of course you have to trust humanity when you're making discoveries. So yeah.
Of course. Why did you think of Rosamund Pike to play this role, and how did you work with her to shape this woman, which is really particular, right? Really preserved from the outer world, I would say, and then she opens up a little bit.
Yeah, but Rosamund, she's highly intelligent, and I think that somebody who is playing an intelligent character needs to be intelligent, because intelligent is not something you can fake. It's something in your eyes, in your body language that you cannot pretend. You can always pretend to be stupid, but pretending to be intelligent is not like, it doesn't work this way. And also she's very science oriented. She really likes science, so that was another good thing about her. But the way I work with her is that, I read, basically, to understand who Marie Curie was, I read whatever I could find, in her correspondences, in her letters, in her diaries, because when you read somebody's word, then you are kind of understand who she is. Like, for example, to give you an example, when she's given the chair of Pierre Curie and she becomes the first female professor in the Sorbonne, she writes, "Some imbeciles find it good to come and congratulate me." She called people imbeciles. So you understand that she's quite tough, that she's uncompromising, that she's unapologetic, that she's absolutely doesn't care about, all these prizes and applauds and things like that. So and she and I, we understood the same thing. So it was lots of talking between she and I, more than repeating, because when you have a great actress, you kind of want this actress to, because I understand the character intellectually, she becomes this character. So this is why you work with great actors, is that they would actually give you something that you would not think about, because they will be this person. So yeah, we had lots of talks. And very soon, I understood that her understanding of Marie Curie and my understanding of Marie Curie was really very much the same. So then it became very easy, the collaboration.
Of course, Marie Curie is a top example, but do you think that directors and actors and culture in general has this task of rediscovering these feminine figures, these women that have made history but are somehow hidden behind men, behind
But
silence?
I know what you mean, but even not going into the feministic consideration, half of the population of the world are women. So mathematically, half of the story being told should be about women. But it's not the case, So it's very bizarre for me. So in a way, but it's also the thing that they keep on repeating, like, oh, women, they are not made for mathematics. I remember when I was in high school, my math teacher, he was like, oh, you're a girl, but you're the best in mathematics, like it was odd. But it is because they say to girls, you cannot do maths. This is why they cannot do maths. But, it's not a question of capacity. It's a question of culture. It's something striking always for me when you look at the history of aviation at the beginning of the airplane. The pilot, half of the pilots, they were women. Like you have as many pilot women as you have male pilots. And that was okay. And then this patriarchal culture, take over. And to the extent that today, in 2020, you sit in a plane and they say, Captain Maria, and you're surprised. Oh, Captain is a woman, forgetting that 120 years ago, half of the pilot they were women, and nobody talked about their incapacity. So I think it's also exciting because the male model, we have seen so many of them, so they're recognizable. I think it's something fresh also to see, like, this woman who is unapologetic, and she's not the wife of, the girlfriend of, the husband, the mother of. She's a person by herself, and I find that very exciting. Yes.
Of course. I think 5 years have passed since your last film, 5, 6 years. I wanted to ask you, why so long? Is this the mere process of filmmaking that is difficult to finance, to build? Or
First of all, I don't
are
like
there
many
any
projects.
other reasons? Okay.
No, first of all, I don't like many projects to start with. Then there are projects that starts and then they never see the day. Then so between the two films, it has been actually 3 years. But the time they decide to bring it out, the time then and then coronavirus comes, then it looks like it's 4 or 5 years, but in reality it's 3 years. But yeah, I've done other things. I have painted again. I started a film that I never did. Things happen, but yeah, I do other things too.
Okay, Mariam, thank you very much for being with us today,
Thank you.
and congratulations on your film.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Okay.